So we're here on episode 3 of 1111 VC Firm. I'm your host, St. Marquis. We're here with the guest, Dr. Samantha DeLoache. She's a credit specialist, a pharmacist, motivational speaker, actress, and model. She was featured in Voyage ATL and Sheen Magazine, and currently she provides credit restoration and repair services. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, welcome. So you're in South Carolina, correct?
I'm actually in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My grandfather, he's from Spartansburg, South Carolina.
Okay, yeah. That's not too far from where I grew up.
Could you speak on how did you get started with credit restoration or credit repair services?
Well, I started about a year and a half ago. I just saw where it was a need in the community. And once I started saying that I was a motivational speaker, different people wanted me to come and talk about things, concerning finances or asking would I be okay talking about that topic. And I just, saw where a lot of people just did not know. And so I said, with this opportunity that I was presented with, where I could actually start my own franchise, I said, this would really, work nice because, it's a need out there. Everyone has credit. That's one thing about credit. It doesn't discriminate. Doesn't matter your color, your age, your sex. Everyone has credit, whether they realize it or not. So I said this would be something, good to add to my portfolio, and just it would really be a service. So.
And how do you view the importance of credit? Because, a lot of people, they don't really have information on it, or they want to learn more about it, or they're struggling with it due to like previous mistakes that they made in the past. How do you view like the importance of credit and how you leverage it?
Okay. Well, how I like to explain credit to people, I know when they graduate from high school and college, they feel like, I don't have to deal with school anymore.
Right.
But I think of credit as your GPA, your financial GPA. Okay. And your credit report is your classes, your transcript. So your credit report just basically shows your financial history, and your GPA or your credit score is your financial GPA, where you stand. So never get overwhelmed if you're not where you want to be. Just like with schoolwork and grades, you got to study, you got to improve, maybe retake some courses. So it's the same concept. The first step is knowing where you stand. So that's why I encourage everyone to get a copy of their credit report and view it at least once a year, if not more than that. So at least you'll know where you stand, because you can't make an improvement if you don't know, where the trouble spots are. So look at what's going on with your credit, and then just devise a plan. If there's things that need to be paid down, the top priority, I tell everybody, how you can make sure your credit's okay is pay your bills on time. Make sure your payments, for whatever it is, you're paying them on time and there's no delinquencies, because that's the number one thing that affects your credit score. So if you can just start by making sure you set up automatic debits every month for those reoccurring bills or things, so you won't forget, because a lot of people just forget, they're busy with life and they forget to send that payment, and then they get a late fee on top of it. So it just makes the situation worse. So just try to get organized, know where you are, and just start out, small. Just make sure you make your payments on time, and then, grow from there.
Right. What are some credit report services to get those annual reports?
You can go to freecreditreport.com. I believe all the bureaus have it, where you can get a copy for free. But they do it free online. I think someone told me once that she called and she had to pay over the phone. So they do discourage you calling, and then you talk to an automated machine anyway. So the best bet is just to go online. And the one that I know definitely offhand is freecreditreport.com. And you can just log in, type in everything, put your social security number, and you're able to get and download your credit score. So.
Right. And speaking of people, that don't really have credit, how do they get started building it?
Well,
fresh out of high school and college.
Yeah, got you. If you're in high school or college, the best way, again, is pay all bills promptly. Then you want to establish a steady work record. Have a job somewhere you're at a consistent basis. You don't want to be that person who every 3 to 4 months they have a new place of employment. So you want to establish a steady work record. Then also open a checking account, and then don't bounce any checks. So that's something, you can start out, and you can also open a savings account and make regular monthly deposits. Every time you get paid, if you only could put $25 in it, that's fine, but do something. And then you can apply for a local store credit card, like a department store, something like that. And, don't worry about having a big limit, but just whatever you charge, try to pay off by the next billing cycle. And then some people can even get a secured credit card. That's where you put your money down, and you pretty much are pretty much using your money as a way to charge things, and you're paying yourself back on the card. So you can get a secured credit card to build your credit that way. You could also apply for a small loan, and you can use your savings account as collateral. And then I don't really always subscribe to this, but I'll just put it out there anyway. You can get a cosigner on a loan and pay the loan back. But I really try not to tell people to do any cosigning. But if you
like a last resort.
Yeah, it's a last resort to do a cosign type situation. But and then sometimes you may see this, it's not very often, but there are people who allow you to get on their credit cards, but they don't actually give you a card. But if they have good credit, they can make you an authorized user, but you just don't actually get the credit card, but you benefit from them making their payments on time and they using their credit. And so some people do, allow that to happen sometimes. So it just depends. But the first few I mentioned, that's what anyone can do on their own to build their credit.
And usually that past history of the credit report of the person that is the authorized, that took it from the authorized user, they take that past history of the credit, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So you definitely don't want to link yourself up to someone who doesn't have a good past. If
right.
you're trying to get yours, that's not going to help your cause. But yeah, if they're doing pretty good, then if they're willing to do it, and of course, you wouldn't get the actual card; they would have the card.
Mm-hmm. And you're speaking on this secured card. Could you speak more on that? And do you recommend that as one of those top 3 options?
Yeah, it would definitely be a top 3 option. Because again, you're putting your deposit down, so that's your cash. So $200, $400, that's what you put. That's your credit limit. So whatever you can put on that card, cash wise, that you have, that's your credit limit. So you go into it knowing, okay, this is all I have to spend. And then again, you charge. And people say usually pay a bill that you would have to pay anyway, that you would pay off. So put your cell phone bill on that secured credit card, or lights, or something that you got to pay monthly, something that you'll have the money for, that you can literally, after you charge it, pay it back, because you want to show a strong payment history. So that's something that's very, safe, that you could do. Again, you're not tying up anybody's money, not borrowing money from a bank. Nobody else is involved. This is you using your own cash. And once you start showing that, frequency of able to charge and pay it back, then that's going to definitely boost and increase your score.
Right. Could you speak on, because I hear a lot of misconceptions of paying the card, paying the full balance at the end of every month, or paying the minimum balance, and just the differences between the two, and which one should you do to improve your credit over time if you have a low credit score?
Okay. Well, in my opinion, if you have a low credit score, the best thing would be to pay your balances and not carry anything over, because that's how the banks make their money. They're making it off the interest. So if I have to, let's say, buy a shirt for $100 and I'm only paying the minimum payment of $10, maybe $3 to $5 is actually going to the cost of the shirt, and the other $5 is going to the interest. So it's going to take me longer to pay off that $100 shirt, and in the end, I may end up paying $150 for a shirt that was $100. So the smart thing would be, if I charge a $100 shirt, when that bill comes next month, I should have that $100 to pay it. So I'm literally just paying for the actual shirt and not paying for that interest or finance charges. So that's how I would go about it. If I definitely, even if you had good credit, I just would say you don't want to charge over more than you can pay off, because that's how you, in essence, lose money by having to pay interest. But some cards have where you have the first 90 days or 60 days, they have promotional specials or offers where it's same as cash. And so if you can pay that amount off before a certain date that they have set, then you still
avoid the interest.
Yeah, you avoid the interest. So I feel like at all costs, you should want to avoid the interest if you can help it.
Right. And what would you say is a good score, in your opinion, on where it should be?
Okay. So the credit score usually ranges from 300 all the way to 850. So 300 being the lowest, 850 being the highest. So a good credit score would be a 700 or above. An excellent credit score would be 800 or above. But on average, most Americans, or people in general, usually range between the 600 to 750 score. So if you're at a high 600, you're like at a fair. You're not horribly bad, but you're not necessarily good. So you really want to strive to get to that 700 mark if you can, because that would be considered your good score, where you'll get the best rates and the best benefits.
Mm-hmm. And is there a limit of credit cards that a person should have if they're below that good score?
I would say for a healthy spending, I wouldn't have more than 3 credit cards.
Okay.
I feel like when you start getting cards for each department store and things like that, because everybody has a card and, oh, you want to save extra 10%, come sign up here. You get
Right.
caught up into that cycle. And especially if it's happening very frequently, that's going to lower your score because each time you open up a new account, they have to pull your credit, and that's going to be a hard hit or a hard pull, and it's going to lower your score a few points. And so you don't want to show a lot of open credit cards at a certain time frame because you're going to look kind of risky. That's risky behavior when you open up
Mm-hmm.
multiple cards. When you want to have a good, strong, solid history, you want to have maybe 2 or 3 good cards that have a long history of good payments. And just the longer you have the card, the better off. So any new cards are not really helping you at the present time. You want to have them for a year or two to kind of show stability because that's what they want to look at, stability in your credit.
Right. And do these department stores, do they really help improve your credit, opposed to other things that you can get credit cards on?
If you have too many of them, I don't see where it's a benefit. But then
Mm-hmm.
again, I know some people who have a lot of store cards and their scores high 600s, low 700s. And the
Mm-hmm.
key thing is make sure you can pay it off. So if you got 20 credit cards, store
Mm-hmm.
department, whatever, and you can pay more than the minimum payment and you can pay off whatever you charge each month, then you will be fine. It's just the key thing is they don't need to see you carrying over a lot of balances and having, the ideal amount. I usually tell people you don't want to go over 30% of the card limit at any moment. So if the card has $1,000 limit, you don't
Right.
want to charge more than $300, a month.
Right.
Because when you start going over that, then you're again showing risky behavior. So if you can keep all those 20 cards or how many cards you have at that 30% and make sure you're paying more than the minimum, but at minimum you're paying what you need to pay. None of the
Mm-hmm.
cards are delinquent, then it won't hurt you. But the more cards you have, that's the more chances to kind of splurge. And a lot of people, when they have those cards,
Mm-hmm.
they dissociate it that they're spending their money because it's like I'm swiping a card, I'm swiping. But if you gave those same people cash, they would be more careful with what they spend. So a lot of times when we have our cards, we just spend more freely and don't really think about it because, oh, we'll pay it next month, or, oh, we kind of dissociate ourselves from it and we kind of spend more haphazardly.
Right.
So it's better to not really rely on credit cards. I like to tell people credit cards should really be for emergencies. It shouldn't be for everyday spending. I shouldn't be buying groceries with my card or, just buying things like buying lunch with my credit card. Like you really shouldn't be using it as an everyday type spending situation. Your cards really should be for emergencies or for big purchases. Like if I got to buy a plane ticket or I have an emergency, my car needs new tires, something that's kind of expensive. That's when you want to use your cards, but you don't want to just be swiping them just haphazardly, but you just want to have balance with it. Whatever you're charging, make sure you can pay, more than the minimum because again, you're going to be paying a lot more for it with interest and it's going to take
Mm-hmm.
years to pay off if you get, spending happy and rack up a high bill.
Mm-hmm. You want to have that discipline. And the reason
Yeah.
why I ask that is because a lot of times in the community, I hear that, buy jewelry and that can help improve your credit opposed to going to the retail stores or the department stores.
Well, it depends on what kind of jewelry. Like I know some people, if you're buying a wedding ring, that's going to be
Mm-hmm.
expensive, So if you're buying a very expensive piece of jewelry, then yes, it's okay to get, financing because
Mm-hmm.
again, this is a major purchase. You want to make sure you probably get insurance on it. You want to make sure you're getting a protection plan, So it just depends on what you're buying. Now, if you're just buying a necklace just to buy it, then, maybe you should save up for it. I
Mm-hmm.
try to encourage people to save up for purchases if you can, or, kind of think about it. Wait a week or so, sleep on it. Do I really need this? Is this a need or a want? And that's
Right.
what we should try to ask ourselves before we start using our cards. Is this something that I really have to have? Or is this something that I just want to get? And because I have that space on my credit card, I'm going to buy it. But and even with vacations, I try to tell people too, don't try to charge up your whole vacation. Again, it's kind of the thing to do now to be able to say I'm living my best life in another country and, post pictures like I'm doing it up on the gram. But if you had to finance it and put it all on credit cards and you're paying for a trip for like a year after you've taken a trip, and
Mm-hmm.
granted, a trip is a bigger thing, but you just got to look at it. How long I'm going to be paying for this shirt or these pair of shoes or this particular item? Like, is it worth it? do I have to have it where I'm going to be stuck in bondage having to make the payments, on it?
Yeah, definitely. And for those people that are struggling with those late payments, could you speak on that? Can they call into these credit card companies to notify them of their hardships if they can't make those payments for that to make that good credit history?
Of course, I would definitely recommend that if you lose your job or you go through like a tough spot,
Hmm.
emergency comes up and you have to spend money somewhere else, you want to call the companies. Do not avoid them. Call them and let them know what's going on so they can put a notation on your account, and so at least you won't get harassing phone calls. And so if you make an agreement to pay at a later date, then they're usually, I guess you could say lenient, or they'll at least work with you at least
Hmm.
the first time. Now, if this becomes a reoccurring or frequent situation where you're constantly having issues, then you're going to experience where they'll probably lower your credit limit, or they'll probably, see you more of as a risk person, to have. And so they're not going to probably feel as comfortable, and they may even eventually close your card. So you
Hmm.
just have to be very careful with that. Everybody goes through a hard time here and there, but if you're experiencing something on a regular basis, then that says that you're not budgeting properly. Are you spending more than you can really afford to, handle?
Hmm. And when these when those accounts get closed and they go into debt collection and the debt collector calls, is it your responsibility to contact the creditor or to contact to keep in touch with the debt collector?
Well, that's a little tricky. Honestly, once that company sells your debt, then they've already gotten paid. So
Hmm.
you're technically dealing with this new uh finance company, or this new, collections company that's now has the debt. So before I would pay any type of bill to the old people or to this new person, I
Hmm.
would want to get something in writing, because
Okay,
basically it's
that's
already
important.
on your
That's important.
credit. Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
definitely don't want to just pay. Let's say I want to pay the original bill person. Well, they've already sold it, so they're getting extra money by you paying them now. So you want to make sure you talk to whoever has that bill now and make sure that you get something in writing that once I pay this debt, you're going to remove this off my credit. So don't ever just pay something and take somebody's word for it over the phone. You want something in writing, because
Right.
technically you don't owe that new company, because you never made that original agreement with that new company. You really made that agreement with the original person.
The
And if
original
they
creditor.
sold it, yeah, the original creditor, if they sold it, then they no longer have it either. So, you're kind of like in between, in the middle. But whoever you speak with, I would definitely make sure that if I pay X, Y, and Z, I need something in writing on a certified letter, your letterhead, saying that you're going to remove this off my credit.
Right. Because most of the times, they call over the phone. Sometimes you ignore those calls, or is it called it's called a charge off? Correct.
Yeah, it's a charge off. Debt's been sold, and so again, it does weigh on your credit, and those type of things can technically stay on there for 7 years. So some
Okay.
people, they do the waiting game. They will wait. They feel like, hey, I have my major purchases. I have a house. I have a car. It's not
Hmm.
that big of a deal, and they'll let it stay on for 7 years. But if you want to get that thing off, then again, you need to definitely call and work something out, and you could do it agree to pay, and make sure they have it in writing that they will release you your credit and take that derogatory remark off.
Right. So you could avoid spending the extra money, and it seems like paying the debt twice.
Exactly.
Yeah. And can you challenge these credit reports for these sometimes if they have like in derogatory marks that are inaccurate?
Yes, you definitely can. You can, again, that's why I said it's important to get your credit report annually so that you can
Hmm.
see where you stand. But if you see something on your credit report that is inaccurate, you can definitely, it's called the disputing process, where you can actually dispute, and you can do that either online or you can do it with a letter. And the key thing is you want to be able to have proof of whatever you're disputing. So if you
Hmm.
have statements, or if you have some kind of proof of receipt of a canceled check, or whatever the case is, that I paid X, Y, and Z, then you can definitely send that to that credit bureau, and they have to, by law, they have 30 days to look at what you send and investigate it. And if they see where there is a discrepancy, then they're supposed to remove it. And
Hmm.
so that's what you have. That's your right under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, that they can't report inaccurate information, and they can't have stuff on there longer than it needs to be. So that's why you have to know your rights and be able to say, hey, this needs to come off. And if you have the proof of it, then it has to come off. But you can't use this and think, oh, I'm now freeing myself from having to pay my debt, or now
Right.
I can, not pay stuff. That's not what that's for. Because again, if they dispute it and they look and see that this is your debt, then it is going to stay, on your credit report.
Right. And they keep a notation of that. And how long does this process usually take if you do send in that letter, that dispute letter?
That can take anywhere from, I would say, give or take 45 days,
Okay.
because the companies have at least 30 days to respond. And
Right.
so a lot of times they're going to take that full 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on how fast you send your mail, and then for them to get a response back to you, you're looking at 45 days to about, 2 months, 60 days for a complete turnaround from when you sent it for them to respond back and actually delete it off. So it's not necessarily a fast process, and so that's something that a lot of people need to realize. You didn't get in debt overnight, so it's going to take a
Have some
process.
patience.
Yeah, you got to have some patience with the process, because again, there's millions of people that they have to deal with, and so you're one person. I know we think our lives and our credit is more important than everybody else's, but they have to work in the same 8-hour day and go through the same process. So that's why they have that allotted 30 days to get your response back.
Mm-hmm. And for those like in college right now, struggling with student loans, and those who have graduated, how can they build their credit, when they have paid everything off, but they still have that student loan debt on their report?
Well, the key thing is a lot of students can do consolidation, and that's
Okay.
where they can, get all their loans into one monthly payment,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully get a lower interest rate. And then also, I would encourage students to find programs that will, in fact, pay your student loans back. So a lot of times when we pick professions, I know we're supposed to chase our passions,
Mm-hmm.
but I think you should look at it on a full scope. Will I be able to find a job when I get this degree? And also, will I get help paying back these loans, if I pursue this particular degree? Is there, some type of financial stability with what I'm pursuing? Because if I get this obscure degree, get all these loans, getting it, and then there are no programs to help me, and then when I get a job, if I'm able to get a job, I'm not making enough to really survive. Was that a financially sound decision to go into that particular area? So I get, pursuing your passion, but I think you should look at how much this is going to cost me long term, because not by any means am I trying to poke fun, but you have many people who have degrees, but they're working at Walmart, and they're
Right.
not working in their profession. So, you want to really look at that. But of course, I would definitely say, you want to consolidate. And I want to say every loan, for the most part, they give you a grace period. You get so many months after you graduate to find a job, and they kind of try to work with you,
Mm-hmm.
and you can defer it. They have deferment processes, but it's all about communication. You would need to call that student loan carrier, or who your person you had the loan with, and discuss your options, and figure out what would be best for you. And then basically, there's some that will even give you a lower payment based on your income. So if you're not making that much, if you can provide proof of your payment stubs, or
Mm-hmm.
what you're bringing in, your W-2s, then you can get a income based payment plan. So there are ways to work with your student loans instead of letting them go into default and not paying them, because this is tax time, tax season. Many people oftentimes are not able to get their tax returns, because the federal government garnishes their taxes because they're not paying their loans. And so if they
Mm-hmm.
would have just made a payment plan, just set something up, and just kind of had a communication with the company, it wouldn't have gone to that far, and it wouldn't have gone on their credit.
Right. So you speak on deferment. You spoke on income repayment plans. What do you recommend? Deferment, or just paying it off the gate? When it comes out of that grace period, that loan.
I would say, honestly, pay it out the gate, because a lot of people, you're just starting out. You're not used to making a lot of money per se. You're just starting out fresh from college. So don't change your lifestyle so quickly, and buy major purchases. Try to pay your debt off by all means. That way you won't have that just hanging over your head for years and years. So I would say, if you can, go ahead and start paying it. If you can knock it out within those first 5 years after graduating, you would definitely be a lot happier, with your life, and you would have paid less interest, and you can just kind of shop and, buy the house, travel, do what you need to do, and not have to worry about the student loans hanging over your head. And I know it's easier said than done, but, if you can't get into a repayment program where somebody's paying the loans for you, are you able to get it paid back? Then I would say the best bet would be to pay it back as soon as you can before, life starts happening. Because some people, they defer it, and they use up all their deferments. And then let's say something does happen later on in life, or you're about to get married, or you have another major milestone where you want to kind of take a break for a few months. You don't have any deferments left because you used them all up initially, so try to, just factor it in as another bill, that you need to pay. And just try to knock it out, as soon as possible. That way you can, begin to enjoy the rest of your money and not have to have that as a lingering bill for years.
Right. What do you think about using other cards to pay off balances?
It's kind of like swapping money from one hand to the next. I mean, I see some people, now if that card you're going to switch it to has a lower interest rate or has a better promotional period, and you want to take the advantage of that, then sure. But you're just swapping debt. It's still not going anywhere in a sense. You just moved it from one card to the next. So the key thing is you need to devise a real plan where you can, budget and actually pay off the debt. But again, interest rates are important. So the only way I would say that would be feasible or be a good idea is if you're switching it to a lower interest rate. So then if that's the case, then you won't have the bill getting higher and higher. But if it's not a real significant savings in switching it, then to me, it's really no point if you're not going to save on interest.
Right. And are you, with your credit restoration business, do you help those with bankruptcies?
Yes. And let me just clarify, I don't actually repair the credit. I have a company that I work with, and they actually do the credit restoration processes. But yes, we look at, student loans, we look at bankruptcies, we look at hospital bills, tax liens, everything can be reviewed. Now, can I guarantee that everything will get removed off? Initially, no, because it has to be investigated. And it has to be seen, what's really going on with this bill, what's going on with the situation. And really with bankruptcies, that's something that's kind of the last step. So it has a little bit of a permanent effect on it. So that would be definitely harder to kind of get off, because with bankruptcies, that usually stays in your credit for 10 years. Okay. So as your other issues or different derogatory things, that's 7 years. But usually bankruptcies can be anywhere from 7 to 10 years. So it's going to be very, very difficult, if not almost impossible, to get those off. I'm not saying you won't take a look at it, but again, is this a fresh thing, or is this something that's been there about 5 or 6 years? Because again, the longer the thing has been on your credit, the easier it would be for something to kind of come off, even, for repossessions, whatever the case is. But if this is something that just happened like at the end of, 2019, pretty fresh, it's probably going to be on there for a few years. That's just the honest truth.
Okay. And what is something small that you see that affects a lot of people on their credit report, that they could remove off that kind of dings their score a little bit?
The late payments. Definitely late payments. Yeah, that's the first thing. Within 30 days, that's when it starts affecting your score. So late payments is like the biggest thing that a lot of people have. And if you were to just, sometimes write a letter and just explain to that company that, look, because I like to tell people also, you can repair your credit yourself. You don't necessarily have to pay someone. So I'm not one of those people who try to take advantage of folks. That's never been my deal. It's just like you can change your own oil, but you still hire a mechanic. You can get your own hair done and can cut your own hair, but it's probably better if you had a professional do it. So it's the same idea. You can repair your credit, but it is going to be, an involved process, and you got to be willing to work through it. And like you said earlier, have patience. But again, if late payments is your big thing, if you can write a letter to that particular credit bureau and just let them know, or write it to that, even that company that puts it on there, and just tell them like, look, I was going through a rough moment, whatever the case was, I've been having a lot of late payments. can you please remove these off? And going forward, I'm taking these necessary steps by having automatic payments set up, or whatever the case is, so that I won't continue to have late payments. They may work with you. Now, I'm not 100% saying that it will work, but at least you're taking an extra step, and they may have some mercy with your situation. And you can say, hey, for the past 4 or 5 months, I have been paying on time. So I know prior to that, I was late, but now I'm showing you I'm doing better. So if you can show, strides where, hey, I'm not just talking to talk, but I'm actually doing it, they will work with you. And even some places, let's say you do have a late payment, and if it's a one-time thing, they will give you a courtesy where they will waive sometimes that finance charge or that late fee. So, again, this can't happen every month, because then it's not an accident. This is me just purposely making a choice. But excuse me, if you can actually, show them that, hey, I had a fluke, this happened, can you work with me? Usually they remove it, because I've even had it sometimes where I, have been late, and I was able to call and talk, and they took the fee off. So the big thing with anything with your finances, you have to just be willing to communicate and be willing to talk. You can't try to hide, think it'll go away, because that's not how it works. It's going to grow. It's going to get worse. So, instead of avoiding a situation, you need to just go ahead and just deal with it. Call, talk to whoever you need to talk to, and try to make some changes.
Right, because it's a big gap, sometimes, and these credit card companies are empathetic, they are willing to help, if you show that determination, that will, and make sure to write things down as well, right?
Right, write things down. For the most part, all of us have smartphones. Let's use these phones and put calendars or reminders where you'll know, or again, even set up automatic payments. So I feel like in this day and age, there are a lot of things that can help you. So it's really no real excuse to a certain extent that you get late or things happen. I mean, they do happen, but there are a lot of tools out there that if you utilize them, that you'll be able to effectively, pay your bills on time, and just overall have a better credit score, credit report, if you just kind of use those tools that you already have access to.
Right. So I wanted to speak on, because you do a lot. You model and you're an actress. How has this whole journey of entrepreneurship been for you?
It's been fun. And, I'm not going to lie, it has had some challenging moments. I think for me, it's really made me dig my heels in and really, really go after my passions. Because I think a lot of times we say we want stuff, or we like stuff, or we're passionate about stuff, but when times get rough, we kind of fade away, we kind of pull back, and we'll stop. And so I think more than anything, this whole process has made me be more determined and just more consistent, because especially even with my modeling, I would do a photo shoot, stop, I would just kind of start and stop. And even with, the credit restoration business I'm dealing with now, I've had some slow moments where, I didn't have any, clients signing up, or I'd have people say they're interested, you tell them how much it costs, and they, all of a sudden they go ghost, they hide from you. So I've had some highs and lows with, everything that I'm dealing with. But I really feel like if it's something you're passionate about and you really care about it, then you will be consistent and you'll keep pushing yourself. And then I even have some people that say, oh, you do so many things. Oh my gosh, why so much? But I like to say also, why not? The average millionaire has 7 streams of income. So, to think that I can just do one thing, and that's fine. If you just want to do one thing, that's cool. But the reality of it, to really have that kind of success, or to really be able to enjoy life, or, even retire early, you got to do more than one thing. But, you want to be passionate about those things. So I don't believe you should chase dollar signs, but you should be chasing purpose and passion. And if you do that, then the opportunities will come and the money eventually will come. But if anything, I feel like it's definitely helped me learn more about myself, and just taught me how to just be my own cheerleader, because you're not going to always get support from family, from friends. You're going to have a lot of people who will look and watch, but not really actively participate, but you just keep doing you. If this is what you feel like you're called to do, you're led to do, and you're passionate about it, you enjoy it, you just keep going, you keep doing it. And so I've enjoyed it. I really have. And that's what I plan on doing. Just keep going, because you just don't know when your breakthrough will come. So you just got to stay consistent.
Right. And in your business, what is like the biggest mistake that you see clients make, when they're, you want to see them produce results. That holds them, that holds them back. Because sometimes it's a lack of determination or just dealing with the credit, and hiding from it. And sometimes the mishaps and all the issues that have occurred, sometimes they're not really motivated to fix that credit. What is something that you see that they make mistakes that you think could enhance them to make better results?
Well, a lot of times, and I kind of, mentioned it earlier, that they expect it to happen overnight. That they want stuff to happen so quickly. And again, you didn't get in this situation overnight. So it's going to take a process. And then again, I have individuals who want something for nothing. They, don't want to pay the fee. They want to, in essence, get a hookup. But I also feel like you have money for what you want to have money for. So if it's something important to you, you will be willing to invest in it and you'll appreciate it more. So when people try to, want me to discount my services, I just feel like, hey, maybe you're not the client I need, because I know my value. I know what I bring to the table. So I'm not going to, discount what I'm offering. And then I have some people who, they really want me to hold their hand. They don't want to be, proactive, and they don't want to take a hold of their situation. And then they don't really want to, they want a quick fix. They don't really want to get to the heart of like, what got you in this situation? You know what I mean? You need to budget. Like my particular company doesn't just do credit restoration. That's the flagship product, but we have a complete protection plan package. We do credit monitoring. We have a budget calculator where you can literally go online and plug in all your bills, all your debt, and it will literally help you come up with a plan to pay off your debt and tell you when paying what payment each month on each thing, how long it would take you to pay it off. So, that's set up there. There's even a power of attorney will where you can literally write you a will. If you have a family or, children, we just recently dealt with Kobe Bryant died unexpectedly, and, his daughter and his family and other members, on the, helicopter. That was very unexpected. And I think a lot of people don't realize, life is not promised. So we literally have something set up where you can set up a will. We all believe we're going to live forever, but the fact is that's not going to happen. So we have so many other tools that are available that are all included, but a lot of people don't even take time to check those things out. They're just only concerned about the credit piece. But it's like, we're not just trying to help you repair your credit. We want to help you restore your credit. We want to help you get better. We want to, see you not have to get in this position again. You know what I mean? So to me, that lack of drive, that many people have, or just don't see the bigger picture, and they just, have this, I just want to just fix the credit and, but not fix the problem that got me to this point where I need to fix my credit. And so that to me is a little disappointing when you try to encourage them to, look at all the services. Don't just pick out that main one, but just try to improve overall, but, that's just, a part of life, unfortunately.
And for those that don't know and looking for that information, what are things that you're looking for in potential clients?
Well, I want somebody who's, ready for a change. They're truly are ready to make a change, not with just their credit, but with their finances overall. And that they're going to be willing to use the entire platform, that they're going to be, a self-starter, independent. They're going to, log in and track their progress and be active, like this is a duo. This is not just me. If I got to hold your hand and I got to cheer you on to sign up and cheer you on throughout the whole process, you're going to need me to pep you up the whole way. But again, this is your credit. This is your financial history. So I need you to take ownership for this and, be willing to, look at the whole complete picture. And then, those who, aren't just trying to look for a hookup or a quick fix, but they're willing to be in it for the long haul. I tell most people to really see some improvements and see some major, point increase. Sometimes that can take anywhere from 3 to 4 months of being in the program and, consistently doing what's necessary. And, again, some people after 30 days, they want to see 100-point increase. And it's like, be realistic. You have a lot of things on here that need to be investigated and be disputed. So again, we don't have a magic wand. If I had a credit magic wand, then I'd definitely be a billionaire probably at this point. But, it's a process. So I just need people who are really understanding that it's a process and that they got to, be in it for the long haul. And then once you get your credit restored, don't make those same choices and get back in that same spot, because some people, after they get what they want, then it's like, did they really learn a lesson? Or, was it just a little quick temporary fix? And then they're back to those same spending habits, back to where they were, back to not being, on top of it, not paying the bills on time. So now you're back to getting the late fees. You can't do that. And also, just throwing that out there, when you're going through the credit restoration process, do not charge or open up any new lines of credit. You need to stop. You need to be trying to focus on paying down what you already have, but not still actively seeking, trying to find ways to spend more money. So, for those who are really ready to make a financial change and not, just looking for someone to hold their hand, but really want to, take the driver's seat and get a hold in their finances, that's the kind of clients that I would love to work with and encourage.
Right. Accountable and looking for a partnership.
Exactly.
So could you tell our listeners how to get in contact with you?
Sure. I have multiple ways. I have a website. It's www.SamanthaDeLoache.com. And I know my name might be a little hard to spell. So the same website that'll get to that same place will be www.modelingpharmacist.com. So the words modeling and pharmacist together, that'll put you to my website. And then my phone number is 803-707-2510. You can call me and or text me, either one. My Instagram is at Samantha DeLoache, and that's SAMANTHADELOACHE, or at Modeling Pharmacist. And on Facebook, it's Samantha DeLoache Credit Repair Services and Samantha DeLoache Modeling Pharmacist. So all my pages are pretty much similar, and they all link to each other.
Well, there you have it, guys. 1111 VC firm with Dr. Samantha DeLoache, credit restoration specialist. And 1111 VC firm, we provide motivation, tactics, advice, and skills for all aspects of your marketing, sales, financial, and entrepreneur journey. So as an emerging sales leader, this channel provides advice from someone, who's in the same roles and the same struggles as you. And we just want to encourage you guys to execute these tactics every day and just double up and get better in life. So thank you for taking the time out on this podcast.
Oh, of course. I enjoyed it. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for tuning in to 1111 VC Firm podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Our Patreon is available. Our Patreon is 1111 VC Firm. Our Instagram is also 1111 VC Firm. Our Facebook page, 1111 VC Firm. Thank you for tuning in for episode 3. Peace.